Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Louisa and today's video is a little bit different. Again, it's another life update because I have just moved house. So what I thought I would do is show you my old house and also show you my new house, and you can have a look at the difference. So I rented this house for almost 2 years, and as you can see, it's a bit of a renovation project, and I knew that before moving in. So I decided to rent it because it was cheaper and also because I was allowed to have my pets there. So as you can see here, this is the room that I had. This was my bedroom, and over in the corner was where my cupboard was that I used to film in front of, and next to it was where I had my desk. If we go down the incredibly purple hallway, then we get to the living space, which was dining, lounge room. And when I originally moved in, it did not look like this whatsoever. It looked horrendous. It was unlined on 2 walls, and the ceiling in the dining space was also not lined. So it was only like half enclosed because the weatherboards outside were so rotten that they actually let the rain in through the wall. But as you can see, the kitchen is very new. It was put in by the person who owned the house before the current owner, who has moved into the house now after I rented it, because they need to renovate, like very, very badly. The only room that's kind of done is the kitchen, and the lounge area is mostly done, but as you can see, this is the bathroom. Hey, how's it going? So the bathroom is ancient. It's got old fixtures. It's got a very narrow shower. Usually shower cubicles are 90 by 90. This is 90 by 70, and it's got a crack in it. And through the bathroom, so the bathroom is a hallway and it goes into this laundry space, which is so decrepit. The floorboards are rotten, like they've got actual holes in them and patches so that you don't fall through the rotten floorboards. And there's a concrete slab just for the washing machine. And then all the way at the back of the house with no door on it is the toilet. Joy of joys. This was such an awesome room to come to in the dead of winter. So at least the hot water system was new and reliable, even if the rest of the house was kind of a hazard. And I mean, it was livable. The kitchen was great, and also there was a nice little yard for Ghost, and that meant that I could have a pet and I could go to work during the week and not worry about him escaping. But as you can see, all of the house was rotten. And as you can also see, it's less of a yard and more like a courtyard, but I kind of liked it. So it had a lot of quirks, but I also really appreciated this place. It was nice. Okay, so you've seen the old house. Now I'm going to take you on a brief tour of the new place. So I'm at the front door, and this is the living area. As you can see, Ghost has settled in. He's spending a lot of time snoozing at the moment. So this is the front door. And as you can see, this is acreage. There is roughly about 20 acres. And you come inside and we have a real fireplace that works. It's currently got a screen in front of it, so it doesn't let like drafts through or anything. But in winter, and we're now coming into summer, so at the moment it's quite hot. But in winter, that is going to be roaring. I am going to gather lots of firewood from outside. It's going to be epic. Okay, so we have a backyard, which is in the process of being fenced for Ghost at the moment. That's Olive's climby post, and as you can see, beautiful stonework, like real stonework. It's not any of that fake business. That's my dining setting from the old house. It looks tiny in here, and my freezer and microwave. And then this is the kitchen, which is absolutely enormous, as you can see. There's my cup of coffee. So Ghost's food and toy are down there. He leaves his toys out. And we've got tea at this end. Nice big sink. And then coffee at this end. And just a normal stovetop, wall oven, etc. Plenty of cupboards. And in here is the laundry with laundry in it, strangely enough, and dog food. Okay, so this is the hallway, which has all of the bedrooms. There's 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So the main bathroom is in there. And this is my room. This is actually the master suite. So yes, I have my own outside door, which locks up and I've got a key to it. This is where Olive is all set up with her food so that Ghost doesn't eat it. Her litter tray. And then down here into the ensuite, which is pretty sweet. Okay, so as you can see, heaps of room for my bed. Out the window is a pond. There's an actual pond out there, which is really cool. It's like a little jungle. And my computer workstation. So this is where I do all of my editing and everything. I was using a laptop for ages, and that's currently stashed inside of the walk-in wardrobe, which I will show you. Okay, so the walk-in wardrobe, that's the laptop, has heaps of storage. So this is like a mixture of linen cupboard and also makeup, handbags, shoes, clothing, obviously, laundry hamper, and suitcases, that sort of thing. This is where I've got my kind of basic setup of really unusual books. So I've kept them in my room, and the main bookshelf has more regular books on it. And that's my podcasting microphone. Okay, so we're back out in the hallway. That's the kitchen area that we came from, and this is the gigantic lounge area. As you can see, this is where I have put my bookshelf with the kind of ordinary books on it. Yes, there is a Twilight book up there. And as you can see, we have Olive. Hello. Hey, are you enjoying your chair? She's very comfortable. Hey, who's a good girl? Yeah. Okay, so this is essentially like my lounge room furniture from the old place. And it fits into this like tiny alcove in the main lounge room. Hey, kitty cat. Hello. And here we have the main lounge suite, which belongs to the owners. So just in case you're wondering, I am renting. I did not buy this place at all. It's huge. But this is my little electric fake fireplace, which fits very nicely in the boarded up fireplace. So it used to work as a fire and now it doesn't. And I've put some decorations up there. And then that's my car outside. That's my kitchenette-y thing that used to be in my bedroom and now it's completely empty because I have a wardrobe. What's up? You want cuddles? You want cuddles? Okay, I'll pick you up. So Olive wanted a cuddle. And we're back out into the main living space. Whee! We got Olive. And we got Ghosty. Hello, Ghosty. Hey, puppy. You're a good boy. We're gonna go outside and we're going to have a look at the garden. Come on then. As you can see, we're in the process of getting this fenced. The landlords have been working for the last couple of days or longer, probably like the last week, on putting up the fencing for him, just for him, because he's that special a puppy. So this is the property and it extends all the way into like the trees over there as well. So it goes for quite a while. But this is the kind of house garden. As you can see, it's a stone and wood bungalow that we've got here. There's a massive outdoor area with a fire pit. Lots of lavender, which is really nice. Lots of trees. I like that. And plenty of lawn for Ghost to roam around on and do his poops on. Because we're coming into summer, he's getting fairly hot and I need to start stripping out his coat because he's a bit shaggy. He's trying to shed it. So this is the outdoor space with the fire pit and the steps and the Ghosty. And there's this kind of built-in table, which is really cool. It's very long. So we're planning a bit of a barbecue in the near future. So the last time that I did a video, and it was almost 2 weeks ago, so apologies for that, but moving house obviously takes a while, unpacking things, packing things, moving stuff. It's definitely a pain. But the last video that I made was on how I reacted to the jab and it did not go well. And also about my dad not being able to see his friends in nursing homes for quite some time. It had been about a year since he had been allowed to visit, and so he had to get inoculated as well in order to go. And so what happened was he got to see his friend Tom 2 days before he passed. And I knew Tom from like the age of 8. So he was one of those people who's like a fixture in your life. And my dad had kind of 2 really good friends, and they called themselves the Three Amigos. And so my dad's the last amigo. But it was interesting talking to my dad on the phone. He's in another state, and He was saying that getting to see his friend before he passed away was a blessing. And I have never heard my dad use that word. You know, I said in the last video that a lot of really tough times and disasters are often judgment or just the end result of human beings doing what we want instead of what God wants. And it's usually a prompting and an opportunity for people to seek God when times are tough. When we don't need Jesus, then we become lukewarm Christians. And it's very much the lesson of the Church of Laodicea in Revelation chapter 3. So then, because you are lukewarm and neither cold nor hot, I will vomit you out of my mouth. Because you say, I am rich, have become wealthy, and have need of nothing, and do not know that you are wretched, miserable, poor, blind, and naked, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire, that you may be rich, and white garments, that you may be clothed, that the shame of your nakedness may not be revealed, and anoint your eyes with eye salve, that you may see. As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Therefore be zealous and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and dine with him, and he with me. To him who overcomes, I will grant to sit with me on my throne, as I also overcame, and sat down with my Father on his throne. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So when times are good, when we have all of the resources that we need, and we don't need anybody and we don't need God, it's easy for human beings to think that the buck stops with us, that we are self-sufficient, that we can be self-reliant, that we are independent, and that we don't need God. And so if things like what we're currently experiencing in the world at the moment can draw people closer to God, then I think that's all we can hope and pray for. My psychology studies as I was moving house and recovering from the side effects, and also getting ready for my exams, which are in 2 days. My studies for psychology were on existential philosophy. And it's always really interesting how things line up, how God puts things in your path and like kind of sends them across your desk for your attention. It's like, look at this thing. Here is a memo from the Almighty. And there's essentially a couple of different schools of existential thought. So there are the nihilistic, kind of pessimistic aspect of existential philosophy. And then there's actually theologists who see the existential crisis and existential questions as an opportunity for people to learn about God and to learn about spirituality. And you can see that in people like Viktor Frankl, who wrote all about his experiences in German concentration camps, and how a life without meaning is not really much of an existence at all. But we don't usually look for meaning until we're hit with an existential crisis, and that's usually in the form of questions about life and death, serious diseases, natural disasters, that sort of thing. And I would say that one of my earliest experiences with the existential crisis was when I was finishing high school, and there was an earthquake. And it didn't make the news because we lived in the middle of nowhere and pretty much nobody was affected. So even though it was like 5 or something on the Richter scale, and standing outside at night under a moonlit sky and just watching the desert, watching the South Australian Flinders Ranges desert moving, banging and cracking loudly. One of those moments where you understand how small you are. And that's what existentialism is all about. It's all about dealing with and confronting your mortality and understanding that there are things that really are beyond your control, that you're either living in a world of chaos or there is a higher power. And whether you live in a world of chaos or whether you acknowledge a higher power, basically in existential psychology, they believe that you have to stop navel gazing and look beyond yourself and look outside of yourself at the world around you and give back to others, because otherwise your life is meaningless. And that kind of philosophy can be summed up in Jesus's 2 commandments, which was love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and might, and love your neighbor as yourself. And it's like I'm reading this psychology textbook and they're basically talking about love thy neighbor, because at the same time my other subject is evolutionary biology. So I'm studying existentialism and evolutionary biology. And it's like they keep trying to get away from the idea of what God has told people and define things from a more rationalist perspective, but the only rationalist perspective that actually bears out and carries any weight is Jesus. So people just can't get away from him, whether they like it or not. And so when it comes to things like helping people through a cancer diagnosis or helping people through bereavement, the philosophy of existentialism is kind of incomplete without the spiritual aspect. Trying to create meaning from chaos doesn't really work. And yeah, like doing evolutionary biology is also interesting. Like I've always been interested in biology, and there is a lot about Darwin's work which was based on accurate observation. So variation within the species, selective breeding, adaptation to the environment, all of that stuff bears out, but all of that stuff is already programmed into the genome. And if you've ever looked at coding, if you've ever like done web design, like I have with HTML and CSS, or used databases with SQL, then you know that coding is intelligent design, and the genome is coding on a level of like 4 dimensions. It's not a 1-dimensional or even 2-dimensional form of coding like computers are. It's physical for one thing, and it's also kind of like a transformer, and it operates through time. By the way, if you hear scuffling noises, there's a fairy blue wren that keeps trying to fight itself in the window. So there is a limit to how intelligent nature really is. But at the same time, it's not random. Like, you don't get sophisticated coding and sophisticated ecosystems and sophisticated things like the human brain without some kind of design behind it. I'll link a documentary in the description box for you to have a look at. It's called Is Genesis History? And it's a whole bunch of scientists who either started out believing that the answer to a lot of things is a intelligent design, or they became convinced of it because they studied science. So it's a very thought-provoking documentary. It definitely sheds a lot more light on things than evolutionary biology does, because evolutionary science, they claim that Christians are intellectually lazy because if we don't have like an evidence-based explanation for something, then we fall back on God as an answer. But the thing is, they're also intellectually lazy because they fall back on time as an answer to anything that they can't answer, and they cannot answer a lot. So if they're going to accuse Christians of being intellectually lazy, I think that that is hypocritical, because they do not have explanations for things and they just rely on millions of years as the only answer for things that they cannot explain. And if you watch the documentary, the millions of years concept doesn't really stack up when you look at sedimentary rock, because there is no weathering in sedimentary rock. There's no time in sedimentary rock. So definitely check out that documentary. It was one of the things that kind of convinced me back in the day, because I've always been interested in science and technology and coding and programming. So yeah, so that was my rambling thoughts based on just the things that are going on at the moment and stuff that I'm learning. So if you've got your own experiences, leave them in the comments. I'm always interested to know. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. For all of the regulars, thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time. Bye.